Hello all, welcome to part 35 of API testing training series. In this session, I'm going to practically demonstrate and show you how to install and how to launch Eclipse IDE for automating the API testing using REST assured automation. So let's get started. So here is the thing. We have to install and launch Eclipse IDE, which is one of the editors where we can write some Java programming and run it. There are a lot of editors available in the market, starting from the simple editors like Notepad. Okay, if you Google search here, by default with Windows, we get a editor known as Notepad. But this is not an intelligent editor. Okay, so here still we can write the Java programming and save them as Java files. And using the command prompt, still we can run these Java programs. Okay, we can use the Java compiler and compile the Java files and also run them. But this is not a kind of editor which is specially designed for writing the Java programs and running the Java programs. It's very difficult. It's waste a lot of time for the users, okay, to write the Java program here, to save them as Java files and to compile them into the Java class files and finally run that Java programs and see the output in the command prompt. Okay, that is a tedious process. So there came some editors into the market, okay, to solve this purpose. Instead of using the simple editors like Notepad, which are coming by default with Windows or whatever it is, okay, there came some editors like Eclipse IDE and IntelliJ and so on. Okay, Eclipse IDE is a widely used editor, okay, for its simplicity and its power for writing the Java programs, allowing us to write the Java programs and run them in a easiest manner where compiling of the Java programs happens automatically in this Eclipse IDE editor. And also, while you are writing the Java programs, the code will be highlighted. Okay, different keywords in that are recognized by Java will be will be highlighted in different colors in this Eclipse IDE. If you do the same thing in normal editors like Notepad, okay, they will not be highlighting. And also, there are some extra features in Eclipse IDE kind of editors where IntelliSense kind of things are there, where you don't have to type the entire thing. There are some shortcuts using which you can write a lot of code. And when you type something, automatically the Eclipse IDE will suggest you all the suggestions of something that need to be written. Such kind of lot of advantages are there with Eclipse IDE, guys. Okay, hence we'll be choosing Eclipse IDE as editor for writing the Java programs, okay, and running them. So these Java programs are we are going to write as part of this training series or tutorial series, whatever the series I am explaining. Here, the purpose of we are going to write these Java programs in this Eclipse IDE editor is to automate the API testing using REST assured automation. Okay, for that Eclipse IDE is required. The editor is required. Though you have installed Java, Java doesn't by default provide you any editor to write the Java programs. Okay, we have to depend on some third party editors. Okay, we have to depend on some third party editors like Eclipse IDE, which is best suitable for writing the Java programs and running them. If you already are aware of how to install and launch and use Eclipse IDE for writing the Java programs and running them, this session may not be for you. You can skip this session. But if you are a beginner and who doesn't know how to install and use Eclipse IDE, okay, for Java programming and running the Java code, okay, then you can follow this session further. Fine. So before we install this Eclipse IDE editor, we have to make sure Java is installed or not in our machine. Without Java software installed in our machine, we cannot install. We can install Eclipse IDE, but you are going to get an error when you try to launch the Eclipse IDE. Okay, Java is the software that is required for Eclipse IDE. It is a prerequisite software, you can say. Eclipse IDE is another software which depends on the Java software. Without you installing the Java in the previous session, as mentioned in the previous session, if you directly try to install Eclipse IDE, you will not be able to use Eclipse IDE, because while launching Eclipse IDE, you will get an error saying that Java is required for running the software. Anyhow, as I already showed you how to install, download, install and configure Java in the previous session here. Okay, now we will directly install Eclipse IDE because Java is already there in my machine. Okay, so this Eclipse IDE is editor for writing the Java programs and running them. Even compiling happens automatically, and IntelliSense kind of thing is there in this editor, where you don't have to type everything. When you partially type, it will give you the suggestions. Okay, that kind of IntelliSense is there. We'll see that soon in the coming sessions. Okay, while we use Eclipse IDE to its fullest extent for automating the API testing using REST assured automation. Anyhow, this prerequisite is already there. Now let's simply download and install Eclipse IDE in our machine. So let's get the latest version of Eclipse IDE. To get the latest version of Eclipse IDE, we have to go to the official website of Eclipse IDE. It's very simple, guys. Just go to Google. Okay, open any browser, go to Google and search for download Eclipse IDE. Okay, just say download Eclipse IDE, eclipse.org downloads. Click on this link. The moment you click on download Eclipse IDE link, you'll be taken to the downloads page of the eclipse.org, which is official website of Eclipse. Scroll down a bit. Here you see get Eclipse IDE 2022-06 as per today's date. It's August, but the latest version is still June 2022. Further, there is no latest version yet, but the time when you are watching this recording of mine, this time may not be same, right? So you may be watching this video in 2023 or any other year or month. You may see a different version here. Don't worry, go with the latest version, whatever that is available here at this point of time. Even the website also may change. Okay, nothing is constant, but for now, okay, within my permits, I can say that you can come here and click on download this. Okay, just click on this download button and you'll be taken to this page as per now. Okay, so just click on download, and as you will see that, okay, Eclipse is a free software, guys. Okay, even Java is also free to download and use. Even Eclipse IDE is also free to download and use. Okay, that's the reason, you see, for the community to run, they're asking for donations here. That's fine. But here, as you can see in the bottom, the exe file for Eclipse IDE, okay, the latest version of Eclipse IDE is getting downloaded. Let's wait for the download to finish up. Okay, it's being saying that it will take a minute as per my internet bandwidth and all. Okay, let's wait for that. As you can see here, the exe file of Eclipse IDE is successfully downloaded. We'll go to the location where it got downloaded. And here is the exe file. Simply double click on this exe file. In a while, we'll get the installation wizard of Eclipse IDE appearing, using which we can install Eclipse IDE in our machine. So let's wait for the installation wizard. You see installation wizard came up, almost launching Eclipse installer. Let's wait for some more time so that it will display some options for us to select. So this Eclipse IDE installation we are doing so that we can write our Java programs, okay, which will turn out to be the, you see, you will be using Java along with the rest assured, okay, rest assured library, Java library with the rest assured library that I am going to explain the coming sessions, like what are the different libraries and all, how can you use Java and rest assured automation library together so that you can automate the API testings, and all those things will come later. Okay, for now, I got this installation wizard opened up and there are several options here. Eclipse IDE for Java developers, Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java and web developers. Okay, so I see this as a viable option. The second option as a viable option because it comes with a lot of advanced features. Okay, this one with basic features, but this one you see as the text speaks. Just two lines of lines is there, but here you see the The text is overloading. Okay, it's coming out of the things, and if you have to really see, you have to just okay, do it like this. Still, you see, lot of text here, right? Lot of text here. That means it has lot of options, guys. Compared to this one, this is a basic version of the Eclipse IDE. It's an advanced version of Eclipse IDE. So I recommend going with the enterprise one. Okay, enterprise one. Okay, since the Eclipse IDE guys are giving it for free, and that to the enterprise one they are giving for the free. So let's choose the second one. Why to go with the basic one when we have the advanced one? Okay, select this one. The moment you select that, you'll get this install button. Okay, you'll get this install button. Sorry, I just dragged it a lot. Like, give me a second. Yeah, so that you can see what's there on the screen. As you can see, guys, Java that have already installed before installing Eclipse IDE, as I already mentioned, Eclipse IDE is dependent on the Java software. Without having Java installed in your machine, you cannot properly install Eclipse IDE or launch it or use it in your machine. So that's the reason this Eclipse IDE, when you are installing it, it's recognizing that a Java version is already installed in your machine. A JDK, Java JDK 17.0.4.1 is recognized by this installer of the Eclipse IDE, and it is available at this C program files Java, as we already know from the previous session, right? But where exactly this Eclipse IDE is going to get installed? This Eclipse IDE is not going to install in the program files. Rather, you see here it is a different path altogether. In the C drive, users folder, okay, my username in my machine, in my Windows machine, this is a username folder of mine. And under that Eclipse folder, you're going to have, what does it mean is, you see, you will go to the C drive and there will be a users folder, guys, okay? In the users folder, the username folder, this is my username folder, okay? And in the username folder, what is the path they are giving? Eclipse folder will be created. Maybe this is the one kind of thing, okay? So it's getting already created while we are installing it. And under that JEE, we don't have to do much about this installation folder, okay? So there is no use of you remembering this path, but I'm just saying that this is the path where Eclipse is getting downloaded in our machine, okay, as part of the installation process, okay? Create a start menu means a start menu will be created. Create a desktop shortcut means on your desktop a shortcut will be created. I don't want any desktop shortcut, guys, because in Windows 11 I can simply search Eclipse IDE and use it, okay? uh, but let's have the start menu entry, that's okay, okay? Or you can keep it for a while, okay? Just select that for a while. You'll get a desktop shortcut. You can delete it at any time anyhow after installation. Click on install button. You see you are getting a kind of user agreement, okay? You have to adhere or abide to this agreement, okay? So to use this software, you should agree to all the terms and whatever things that are given by the Eclipse IDE. So I'll just scroll down a bit because these are the general ones, okay? So if you have patience, you can read them. Otherwise, you can simply say accept now for now. And it will take a while, guys, for the Eclipse IDE to get installed in your machine, okay? It takes time. So we have to be patient here. So I'll be passing the video for a while and resuming the video once most of the installation is complete, and I'll show you the next steps, okay? So it is installing already. It's halfway. It's fastly installing though. It took a lot of time, guys, to get installed. And finally, we got to the screen saying that by showing us an option to launch the Eclipse IDE. Okay, you can launch it now or you can launch it later. That's up to you. Okay. So if you don't want to launch, you can close this out and then go to the desktop, and a shortcut, desktop shortcut has been created. You can double click and open, or you can directly click on this launch option. Okay. If you want to go and read the README file, you can read it and all those stuff. Okay. Just I'll click on the launch button, guys. Okay. So Eclipse IDE will launch. Just click on the launch button. So Eclipse IDE is launching. Let's wait for the Eclipse IDE to launch. This is the editor where we are going to write the Java programs. So in the coming sessions, we'll be using the Java programs along with the rest assured automation library. Okay, Java library along with the rest assured automation library together, so that we can automate the API testing. That's what is the intention behind we installing the Eclipse IDE and launching it in our machine. These are the just prerequisites as I can say. Okay, I'll just you see you can this is the default path that Eclipse IDE generally suggests, but I'll just take a different path altogether. Okay, here I'll just create a new folder. So it's up to you guys, not compulsory that you have to create a new folder because I'll be working with different projects and all. So it's better that I create a different folder here. I just say new folder and I'll say API testing. Okay, API testing is the folder name I'm giving. And I'm just selecting the folder so that this is a path where whatever the projects I'm going to create, Java projects that I'm going to create, which can be used for later used for writing the Java programs inside the Java projects or Java programs along with the rest assured automation will be stored at this location. Okay, this is the location where the Java projects I'm going to create for whatever the purpose it is in the Eclipse IDE will be stored. Okay, so in our local machine, they will be stored, guys. Okay, I'll show you that later. Okay, I'll show you that later how the projects will be stored in our local machine and how they look in the Eclipse IDE, how the projects created will look in the Eclipse IDE editor, and the same projects how they will be stored in our local machine. I show you. I'll show you as part of the things. Okay. Okay. For now, simply say launch. Okay, don't select this option, guys. Otherwise, you'll not get this option too. Tomorrow, if you have multiple workspaces, is the workspace, guys. Okay, the place where the projects will be stored in your machine. Okay, you may have multiple workspaces if you want, but for now I don't want to go deep into the topic. Okay, so if you select this, Eclipse will directly use this workspace and launch, but that will be a different case. So better, let's not select this option. Click on the launch button. The Eclipse IDE will launch in a while. Okay, let's wait for the Eclipse IDE to launch. And there is by default you will be taken to the welcome screen after launching because there is no project that you have created so far, no Java project you have created so far, and editor will allow you to create the Java project that I'm going to show you or practically demonstrate to you in the upcoming sessions. Okay. For now, just stick to this. This much is enough. Okay. Let's stick to this. Let's launch Eclipse IDE and see the welcome screen. And I'll show you the best way to launch Eclipse IDE. Okay. And then end the session. Okay. So this is how the Eclipse IDE has been launched. I'll maximize this. And you see, as I mentioned, you'll be taken to the welcome screen. You can close the welcome screen if you want. Okay, by default there is no project, it's taking you to the donation page and all the stuff automatically. Fine. So this is what is Eclipse IDE looks like, and here is a place where we are going to use this Eclipse IDE as an editor for writing the Java programs, and further we'll use Java library and rest assured automation library together to automate the API test. Okay, everything will fall in place in the coming session. Just follow step by step. If you already know how to install and all, just skip the sessions, guys. Okay, why this is only the sessions are only for the people who are new to Java and who are new to this Eclipse IDE. Okay, fine. Now the Eclipse IDE has been launched for the first time. I'll close the Eclipse IDE, guys. Okay, I'll close the Eclipse IDE. Next time if I want to launch it, guys, okay, you see there is a shortcut created here. Eclipse IDE for Enterprise Java and Web Developer shortcut has been created here. You can double click and open. Okay, you can double click this shortcut and open. This is one way to launch Eclipse IDE. It will give the same workspace. Click on launch. It will launch in a while. Yes. Okay, it has launched. And if you still want a better process or better approach for launching Eclipse IDE, it should be so much easy to you rather than using this desktop shortcut. Okay, if you want to use a different approach, either you can right click on this desktop shortcut and say pin to start. Pin to start, you can say, or you can directly go here, or else what else options are coming. Let's see, right click, show more options. I'll say pin to start is coming, pin to taskbar is also coming. Okay, you can directly select this option. It will get pinned to taskbar. Or if you don't have this desktop shortcut, you can search for Eclipse IDE here. Eclipse IDE here, you'll get this option. Right click on this option and say pin to taskbar. Anything is fine. Using the desktop shortcut or using by searching the Eclipse IDE here, you can right click and say pin to taskbar. You see, before I pin to taskbar, there is no Eclipse IDE icon here on the taskbar. This is the taskbar of the Windows, right? Now, if I say pin to taskbar, you see immediately the Eclipse IDE option has been added to our machine. Okay, click on this option. it will launch. Okay. Every time you have to launch Eclipse IDE. Now I don't need this shortcut also. I'll delete the shortcut. I'll simply click on this Eclipse IDE taskbar icon and Eclipse IDE will launch. This is the best way to launch the Eclipse IDE in our machines. Okay. So anything else left as part of Eclipse IDE? And apart from launching, I showed you the best way to launch Eclipse IDE. The Eclipse IDE has launched also. Editor, okay, all these things are done, guys. Okay, we are done with this session almost. The Eclipse IDE has been launched. No matter how many times you want to launch, you can launch. I'll close this for now. And in the coming sessions, I'll teach you some Java, which is required for REST assured automation. Okay, Java programming. I'll teach you. If you already know Java programming, you can skip those sessions. What I'm trying to cover in the upcoming sessions. But if you're new to Java, I strictly recommend, because without having the Java programming knowledge, you cannot automate the REST assured API automation, API testing automation. Okay, using REST assured automation. Java is a prerequisite, guys. Java programming is a prerequisite that you have to have before you start. Okay, I'll make your journey of Java learning very easy. If you are new to Java, okay, don't think that Java programming, I'm afraid of programming and all the stuff. Don't worry, guys. Okay, I'll teach you in such a way that you will get very confident in Java. Okay, before you start using the API testing automation, using REST assured automation. Okay, so but for the ones who are already have the Java skills, because they have already worked in Selenium, and they already know Java, you can skip these sessions, guys. Okay, you can skip these sessions. Okay, skip these sessions on Java. Okay, and directly jump onto the REST assured automation that will be coming in the upcoming sessions. So that's all about this session, where I have showed you practically and demonstrated you practically how to install and launch Eclipse IDE. Okay, for the future REST assured automation for API testing automation. Okay, so that's all for this session. In the next session, I'm going to cover another API testing concept for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.